I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that. Right now, I'm just weighing out my options and looking for the best opportunities and options for Terrence Crawford in my career.
I feel like Canelo, he's a more natural super middleweight. And if he's going against Canelo, his first fight being at 168, it's kind of already, he has a lot of disadvantages against him. So I feel like Canelo to win.
Let's fight. I think Crawford has the skills, but when it comes to start getting shots and blocking them power shots, and Canelo knows how to move too. He has agility. It's not like a robot.
In a shocking turn of events, it appears as if the highly anticipated Canelo versus Crawford fight might finally see the light of day after Canelo Alvarez accepts Turki Alalshikh's offer. Saul Canelo Alvarez, who has been in the media spotlight since the very beginning of his successful career, has always chased the most extravagant fights that ensure the most profit, and it looks like 2025 will be no different because just recently, many statements from the Mexican fighter have resurfaced where he has made it evident that he is willing to accept the offers from the Saudi officials for a Terrence Crawford fight earlier this year in May, sharing his sentiments on this entire scenario. Canelo stated, "I'm in. Why not? Don't get me wrong, he's a great fighter. But for me, in my weight class, it's an easy fight, easy money, while talking about what he wants to achieve next." Canelo stated that after his spectacular career so far, following the amazing most recent win against Edgar Berlanga, he wants to keep on moving forward by winning all the fights he participates in. Even though he has many options of opponents available, at his age, he must be careful in this choice, because it can have long-lasting effects on his legacy as a boxer.
Milestones.
Milestone, you've been undisputed.
Yeah.
4 divisions.
Look,
what's the next?
keep winning fights. Keep winning fights.
Meanwhile, since last year, aware of these future plans by Canelo, His Excellency Turki Alalshikh has made his wishes clear that he wants to orchestrate a mega fight involving the Mexican fighter and pound-for-pound best, Terrence. Crawford, sharing his thoughts on making this remarkable event, stated that although they have not yet made any definitive plans about the dates, they will be pursuing this as a priority in 2025 after they are done with all the plans that they have already made for this year.
He's one of our plan to see him fight in 25.
The goal obviously is a Canelo fight for him, right?
We hope he wants this fight.
Now, although it comes as no surprise that both Turki and Canelo have been at odds for quite some time due to their differences in handling official dealings in his countless recent interviews, Turki seems to have forgotten this issue based on his upcoming plans regarding making big fights that will only satiate the fans who have been looking forward to these events. But it will also provide the fighter with rare opportunities to exact revenge.
Versus Canelo.
As I tell before to the ESPN, I give him the offer. If he's smart, he will accept it.
Yo, Turk, tell the fans what we doing next.
If you want the answers.
Tell them we going to Canelo next.
Yes.
Let's
go. Canelo, come on.
You heard it from him.
We are ready.
Reiterating the sentiments voiced by the Saudi official, Terrence Crawford has also once again come forward and made offers to Canelo for a potential fight earlier this year, stating that even though there hasn't been a concrete development yet for this fight, he knows that it is only about time that this fight is going to be made, based on the incessant questions from the fans regarding their skills and potential, and who is the stronger of them. Labeling this fight as the biggest fight in boxing, Terrence emphasized that this fight is the need of the hour, as all the fans yearn to see their idols go against one another before bidding farewell to the game altogether.
Say that. I wouldn't say that. Right now, I'm just weighing out my options and looking for the best opportunities and options for Terrence Crawford in my career. That's why you watch it and see. That's what everybody want to see us fight for, because everybody got answers that need to be answered, and the only way they can be answered is if me and Canelo is in the ring and we fight. So if that fight does happen, then everybody answers that and questions and do's and don'ts will be answered.
We shall see, Who knows?
That smile's telling me something else, bro. I think it might be on the line, no?
Just saying, man. We can't say it's not gonna happen. We can't say that it is. So
Let's all just wait and see.
While Ayman sharing his thoughts on how this fight will most probably turn out, Teresa stated that although he is aware of the astronomical challenge that he will be facing in the form of the Mexican fighter, he will not surrender and will show the world that he is also a tremendous fighter who, no matter his smaller size, will outmaneuver his opponent and will take him down in front of the whole world, addressing his critics and supposed alters. Terence emphasized that after pursuing this bout for so many months, even years, he is going to make sure that he brings his A game on the fight night.
I ain't gonna break it down to you, you know what I mean, how it's gonna happen. The strategy is me leaving with my hand, rolls and everybody mouth dropping. That's how I can, sums it up in a little bit of.
Moving on, as the hopes regarding this fight surge once again, many notable analysts and members of the community have come forward and shared their thoughts on this potential fight, including David Benavidez, who, just like Terence, has been eyeing Canelo for a long time. By expressing his thoughts on this fight, David believes that although Bud is one of the best technical and meticulous fighters of this era, he is still quite small compared to Canelo, which is very concerning. Elaborating on his views, David pointed out how during his most recent fight against Israel Madrimov at 154 on August 3, 2024, Terence seemed to lack certain vigor and failed to perform as immaculately as he did at 147, which is not a good thing when he is considering moving to 168, which is a huge 23 weight class jump to face one of the toughest contenders in that division.
Honest with you, Crawford he's one of the best technical fighters I've ever seen. But, when he went to 154, I'm not saying he had problems, but he kind of looked like he didn't have the power that he had at 147. And he still had to come up two or three weight classes.
During this analysis, David highlighted the importance of weight classes in combat sports, especially boxing, stating that when it comes to weight, no matter how skilled or adept you might be in comparison to your opponent, or no matter how much more experience you might have, the other fighter will always have an edge because they are bigger and stronger than you.
I don't know. Crawford, bro, he's like one of a kind fighter, especially since if he knows he's going up to 168, he'll probably bulk up. But I think the weight classes have to be respected.
Now, though David appeared to be quite cordial about the idea of this fight, he did sarcastically target Canelo for his absurd choice of opponents and how, despite having various other fights that are more compatible, like the one with him, Canelo seems to be accepting only the easier fights where he knows that he will win without any shadow of doubt. David also added how, although he really wanted a Canelo fight at one point in his career, he is not going to wait around and waste his time like Terence Crawford in hopes of Canelo finally choosing to fight him.
I feel like Canelo, he's a more natural super middleweight. And if he's going against Canelo, his first fight being at 168, it's kind of already, he has a lot of disadvantages against him. So I feel like Canelo to win.
Also sharing his views on this potential fight, which has now allegedly reached the negotiation stage, Shiz the adult, who is a renowned boxing analyst and reporter, believes that this fight will most probably go in Canelo's favor based on countless different points, with the most eminent one being the age difference between the fighters, which for some reason a lot of people have been overlooking. Elaborating his point, Shiz stated that although Terence Bud Crawford is an immaculate fighter, even at the age of 38, he is reaching a point where fighters are typically considered as old and done for, so it is quite long before he will be stepping inside the ring to face a younger and bigger beast like Canelo.
If I don't get that Canelo fight, I really don't care. I'm really happy where I'm at in my career. I'm happy with the opportunities I'm getting, and it's just proving myself that I'm the best fighter in the world at whatever weight class I'm at.
Addressing the absurd comparisons between Terence Crawford and Floyd Mayweather that have been circulating online for the last couple of months, Showbiz stated that these are nothing but atrocious, based on how Terence Crawford can never compete with Floyd in many aspects, especially after looking at the fight between Canelo and Floyd Mayweather way back in 2013, in which the legendary fighter was way more agile and strong than Terence, based on how he was able to absorb Canelo's vicious punches without showing any weakness. Another factor that he highlighted was the fact that there was never a substantial difference between Floyd and Canelo in their fight, as they were both fighting at cruiserweight, which compared to this fight is too great because Terence will be making a huge jump of almost 3 weight classes.
To fight and defeat a champion who's younger than him. I just want you guys to put that on, because it's not just Canelo being younger. Crawford will be 38 this year, all right? So he's at that age where, I mean, you're considered an old fighter. He's a young man, but he's considered an old fighter. But Crawford's a fantastic fighter, a very elite fighter. All right, one of those guys like Ward, Floyd Mayweather, one of those type of James Toney, one of those type of skill sets where.
Based on all these factors and the legendary bouts between Canelo and Gennady Golovkin and Floyd Mayweather, Shiz talked about the unprecedented endurance and skills that are possessed by the Mexican fighters, stating that after deeply analyzing his recent fight with the much younger and stronger guy Edgar Berlanga, it is quite remarkable how Canelo has been able to not only take all the lethal hits that were directed at him, which otherwise would have dropped any fighter, but he was also able to land his own solid shots that disoriented Edgar to the point where he was dropped down with a single shot in the same manner that Canelo dropped down Jermall Charlo.
Floyd Mayweather, and I don't agree. All right, if you look at the punches Crawford gets hit with, if you look at his fight with Madrimov, just his last fight, most recent fight, the punches he got hit with, Floyd Mayweather doesn't get hit, especially consecutively, like those type of punches in a row. I don't see Crawford as a Floyd Mayweather. Really destroyed Saul Canelo Alvarez. I want you guys to think about this too before my breakdown. Floyd Mayweather versus Canelo in comparison to Terence Crawford versus Canelo. Keep this in mind that Canelo Alvarez and Floyd fought at a catch weight, all right? In this situation, Terence Crawford will be moving up 3 weight classes to Canelo's world, all right? I want you, that's a huge distinction. Berlanga with 1 punch. And the punches he was absorbing from Berlanga. I mean, you don't have to be a genius or a boxing pugilist to understand that Terence Crawford cannot pack the type of punch to drop Berlanga like that with 1 punch, and he can't absorb the type of punches Canelo Alvarez was absorbing from the likes of Berlanga or Triple G or Kovalev or Bivol or any of those guys. Terence Crawford cannot absorb those type of punches, all right? So when we talk about size and we talk about strength and all those things.
Adding on to this myriad of praise for the Mexican fighter, Shiz also touched on how after years of experience inside the ring against all sorts of adversaries, Canelo has transformed into this beast of a fighter who is at the peak of his physical form. Comparing this with Bud, he stated that along with the age disparity, this matter will also prove to be quite a challenge for the American fighter.
When it comes to attributes, Canelo Alvarez stronger, better chin. He's also younger. He's younger by 3+ years than Terence Bud Crawford. There are a lot of things physically, attributes-wise, physical attributes-wise, that's going into Canelo Alvarez's favor. But the one thing that we have to talk about is speed.
Moreover, along with all these claims, Shiz also talked about how even though Crawford is an exceptional fighter who is renowned for his speed and swiftness, the abrupt move from his current weight class to that of 168 will prove to be quite damaging for him in terms of how he will lose his speed, which is not a good thing, when you are up against someone who already has a lot of advantages over you.
Look at Terence Crawford, and Terence Crawford is a fast fighter, period. He's coming from lightweight, starting from lightweight all the way up. His great athlete, full body-wise, foot-wise, everything. You will see him as a faster fighter, all right? But I am going to argue that Canelo Alvarez, though Terence is faster than Canelo, I don't think he's going to be that much faster than Canelo at 168, at 37, close to 38 years old. I think Terence Crawford is definitely naturally faster, and he'll be faster at 135, faster at 147.
Sharing the same thoughts as Chiz Demetrius Raid, who is a professional American fighter and has held multiple world championships in 2 classes, thinks that when it comes to differences in weight classes, there is nothing that anyone can do, no matter how adept and remarkable they might be. Having shared close ties with Bud, based on all the time that they have spent together during their amateur days, Andrade explained that even though he knows that Terence is a spectacular fighter, even the best pound for pound of this era, there is a major chance that he will not persevere this time against Canelo, who is much bigger and stronger than him.
Yeah, I believe so. Listen, I love Crawford. He's a good friend. We reach out to each other. We've been travel the world through the amateur program. He see me beat people up. I see him beat people up. He see me get beat up. I got beat up. We both, whatever. Everybody. The stories can go on, but yeah, when it comes to weight and power, man, that shit is real.
Also talking about the massive power that Canelo possesses, Andrade explained that if the Mexican fighter was only big without any other remarkable attribute, then the fight would have been somewhat neutral. But when it comes to Canelo, he not only has the size, but he also has the power, which can drop down anyone, even the bigger guys, thinking Terrence's chances at winning are slim to none. Andrade recalled the fight between Canelo and Jermall Charlo, where despite Jermall being of considerable size and power, Canelo made him run around the ring throughout the fight, even dropping him at a certain point.
Skills too, skill level too. Like Canelo's not no pushover. Look what he did to the little girl Charlo. You know what I'm saying? Like Charlo, big bad wolf, and he ran the whole night off of a couple of hooks. Like shit, Canelo threw a couple of hooks and he just ran all night. It's like, where's that? You know, let's fight. I think Crawford has the skills, but when it comes to start getting shots and blocking them power shots, and Canelo knows how to move too. He has agility. It's not like a robot. I mean, it's going to be tough.
During this interview, Andrade also talked about the consistent remarks from a certain group in the industry about how Terran is going to bridge the gap and will win the fight based on his superior skill set, stating that these remarks seem to be rather delusional because even though if you support the fighter and think that he is a great of this generation, there is no way in reality that he's going to win this fight and will come out unscathed. However, despite these reservations, and wholeheartedly thinking that Canelo will win this fight, Andrade stated that this will be a great fight for the fans of both fighters, and no matter what, he will be rooting for his brother in this bout as well, just like old times.
Opinion is my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't think Crawford can beat Canelo. But still, do I think he can give him a good fight? And I'll be sitting there rooting for Crawford all day. I'm put all my money. I'm always going to bet on black, always. But do it in reality of it, I just think Canelo knows how to fight. He knows how to come in big, and he can throw hard shots. I mean, I'm just saying. I'm just talking real boxing facts. I'm not trying to be in this fantasy world because it's not what I'm.
On the other hand, after months of consistent deliberation and negotiations, the fight that almost everyone in the boxing industry, including the prominent reporter Sean Steele, has been anticipating for the last couple of months, is just around the corner, and the public seems to be quite interested in finding out the lucrative nature of this potential fight, because even though His Excellency is going to be involved in this matter most probably under the highly marketable banner of Raid Season or his newly acquired The Ring, the sales of this fight will very much rely on the promotion done by the fighters for this event. Because even though Canelo is renowned as an entertainer who can garner a huge audience, Terrence usually recluses himself before the fight and does not partake in any said promotional events.
But what I kept hearing in Las Vegas this week from people that got good information from the Canelo camp is that the Crawford fight is a very legit possibility next. You know, some type of Riyadh season, PBC, joint promotion. They want to do it here. Money talks, and Turki Alalshikh has a lot of it. So
Sean also ventured on the possibility of Terrence winning this bout while reiterating the same ideas as Andrade, stating that even though many people wish that Terrence would triumph this time based on his spectacular reach and boxing IQ, he cannot take on a fighter like Canelo, especially when it will be his debut fight in the 168 division, which is already a huge challenge in itself.
In regards to a Canelo-Crawford fight, I understand why Ant and others would think Crawford can turn Canelo in the center of the ring with his length and beat him. I would still favor Alvarez. I still favor Canelo because I do think he'd have to pick it up.
Sharing an in-depth analysis of the possible outcome of this fight, Sean stated that despite Terrence being an excellent fighter who knows how to use his length in an appropriate manner and at the right time, this time he will face quite a challenge because Canelo is not that easy of an opponent who will fall to these kinds of traps. Instead, he will try to come at you with everything that he has got, especially with the extremely strong hands that he has. God.
But you know, it's my opinion, but I think that it'll be hard for Terrence to keep Canelo off of him. And Crawford with those long arms is such a dynamic, unique offensive fighter and all that, but I think Canelo is actually a more compact puncher than him.
Thinking that Canelo's fist will be his strongest weapon this time around, Sean stated that many people tend not to give him the credit that he deserves because even though the Mexican fighter is really good with his stance and footwork, one aspect that really outshines others in the division is his tremendous power and the unprecedented ability to land those punches at the exact target, which renders opponents useless. Comparing this factor with the last opponent that Tetrad faced, which was Madrimov, Sean pointed out how even though Madrimov is a younger and stronger fighter than Canelo, he lacks his powerful punches, which is one of the major factors in how Terence cannot approach this fight or even train in the same way that he did for Medan way back in August last year.
And if he I just don't know. Once he gets in there with Canelo, man, Crawford is Crawford. I mean, he's a monster, but he may not be able to keep this guy off of him, and he may not feel as comfortable. The Canelo's fights have a pattern. If you're not Bivol the last couple years ago, you get back from pillar to post, you can't keep him off of you. And I think Canelo's hand speed is underrated. You see this big burly stocky 5'8" guy, you don't think he's gonna have his hand speed will surprise you. He's explosive. And you see how Madrimov was able to place the right hand. Again, styles make fights. Canelo doesn't have Madrimov's youth and feet and feints, but he's Canelo, and that's Madrimov. And
You can't fight Canelo the way you fought him.
Expressing the same opinion as his fellow pundit Sean Porter, almost looked anxious for the 38-year-old fighters based on the fact that he might not be able to take the heavy punches that Canelo will most certainly throw his way if they were ever to fight one another. Shifting his attention to the Mexican fighter, Sean also pointed out another distinct factor. Canelo will give his everything in the first couple of rounds because, after looking at the pattern that he has been following in his last couple of fights, it is evident that he will slow down later on, so he will try everything to bring down Terence before that happens.
I am concerned about him absorbing a Canelo punch, especially through the course of 12 rounds. We do know this about Canelo. He's going to slow down, so I think if anything, Canelo would try to start fast and bang on him and break him down before he gets later, and he's still got that kind of steam.
However, he is still unsure about who might win this fight. Sean stated that even though he is aware that Canelo will be the fan favorite this time around, based on his size and power advantage, there is still a major possibility that Terence Crawford will make a comeback in the middle of the fight by countering all the attacks thrown by Canelo, no matter how strong they might be, in a way similar to what he did against Errol Spence Jr., where everyone expected him to lose, but due to his resilience, he unforgettably won the fight.
Really, really hard for me to see Canelo losing to Crawford. But it's also, there's things that I can see that Crawford is so good at.
Yeah.
That it's like, I can't see him not being able to be sharp and do that round after round, man. There's so many components that make a champion. There's so many components that make a great, a legend. It's just so much to go into. It's a conversation that lasts an hour easily when we talk about all of the components that Terence Crawford has, all of the components that Canelo have, and how we find how they even out and who trumps one another, you know what I mean?
So in the end, what do you guys think about this fight? Do you believe that Canelo made the right choice by taking His Excellency's offer, or do you believe that this fight is not the best choice for either fighter, given the many differences that seem to favor Terence Crawford? Fill out the form below and let us know what you think. If you liked the movie, please like it and subscribe to our channel.